I had a couple of thoughts while I was driving today, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go live real quick and give them. I titled this Changing the Rules, Redefining Racism. The reason why I did that is because I got to thinking, when you go to have a conversation with someone, you can't have a proper conversation with them unless the definitions of the words that you're using in the conversation are the same definitions. You have to be able to start at the same place, to start at a foundation where if we're going to use this word, it means the same thing to both parties. And what we see with this conversation of racism right now, we have two different groups of people that have totally different understandings of the meaning of racism. And I feel like the rules have been changed in the middle of the game, and those of us that have light colored skin or black people who have chosen to speak out against this movement are being labeled as racist with a brand new definition for racism. And they've changed the rules in the middle of the whole process. And that's why most of us are left going like with whiplash, like what the heck is going on? How is it that I can be accused of something that doesn't have anything tangible in it? So I want to encourage you guys, if someone comes at you to accuse you of something being racist, ask them, can we start with a common ground and a definition of racism and then go from there? Forget the idea for a second that you can be accused of something that you're not even consciously aware of doing. Okay, my entire life, my understanding of the definition of racism was to be prejudiced against someone else because of the color of their skin, and then to allow that prejudice to influence the way that you treat them. That's the foundation of the definition of racism. But my understanding is that the reason why all of us almost abhor being called a racist is because it is everyone's understanding that racism, and the reason why it's so bad, is because of those racist, real ones, Klan members and the like, who took that and developed laws prohibiting black people into certain restrooms, into restaurants. They didn't want their children going to school with black people. We can go back even further. Racism that allowed for slavery. Racism that allowed for the hanging of black people for no reason, and white people who sided with black people. That's our understanding of racism. So when we are called racists, and we know blatantly that that is not true, that we love people of all colors, that we would want our children to go to school with people of all colors, that we happily want to share restrooms with people of all colors, that we want to go to businesses owned by people of all colors, that we enjoy being friends with people of all colors. When we get called a racist, we take offense. Because there's nothing in this world like being falsely accused. So we need to find a common understanding of what racism really is, because if all of those things are included under the umbrella of racism, and then you include something that you cannot even be aware of what you are by just being, say, white, and all of a sudden your whiteness and your white privilege makes you equally as evil to those who, sorry, I'm getting a message there, equally as evil to those who, I don't know, maybe lynched black people or kept them from their businesses or didn't want to ride and sit next to them on the bus. Now all of a sudden just being white makes me one of those people. I take offense. And I think we need to have a different definition. So I propose that we call it the unknown stance. You are an unknown stancer. It's unknown to you that you take this stance. Unknown stancers. And then I can have a discussion. We can talk about my unknown stance. Okay, you unknown stancist. We can talk about that all day long. But you can't put it in the same category as owning slaves, as disliking Black people, as disliking Latinos, as disliking Japanese people. Okay, you can't put it in the same category, and here is why. Because when you accuse someone of being a racist, it has with it all of the same connotations as you want to lynch Black people. You just want to kill them all. Okay? And then at the same time, they will then have a conversation with you and they'll say, no, I know you don't want to lynch Black people, but just the very color of your skin, and you don't know, you have white privilege, and there's systemic racism in our country, and just being part of the system and having a job of any kind makes you a racist. Well, okay. Even if I were to concede that that was true, which I don't, but even if I did concede that that was true, what you are accused, then it's really not as big of a deal as what you're trying to, the weight that you're trying to put behind it. You're trying to put lynchings. You're trying to put water fountains and bathrooms and, sitting on the bus and whatever went through the civil rights era that was so wrong and we all condemn and hate, and that's how we came out of it. Okay? We just need, we need a new definition. If they've come up with new definitions, okay, within the new game that they want to play, and I'm saying I'm mostly talking about rich white guys that are perpetuating this. Rich white men and women who want this to go on and are fueling and leading and funding this movement for divisiveness, and unfortunately leading many Black people astray. And it's sad. They're being used all over again, and they don't know. But many do, and I want you guys to be excited. And if you're not following the Black Voices for Trump on Facebook, you should be. If you're not following Candace Owens and the Blexit movement, you should be. But so I have a new definition. I'm now an unknown stancer, and that's fine. You can label me as that. I disagree with it, but that's my new definition. You unknown stancist. You don't know the stance that you are, but it can't be racist. And it can't be racism, because that definition is indissolubly, or whatever word you want to use, ingrained in our society, and we all know what it is. When I see people flippantly on social media pages look at a Trump rally and they say, oh, it's just a Klan rally. I want to say this the right way. A major injustice is happening by the person saying the word, and it shows your ignorance. It shows that you don't understand definitions. It shows that you don't understand and you don't give honor to those that suffered at the hands of Klansmen. Because if you're going to equivalate people gathering together wanting to protect, I don't know, unborn Black lives, wanting to protect our borders so that we can protect Black jobs in our nation, if you want to say that people gathering together for those purposes are the same people as people that wanted to lynch Black people, those people that have been lynched by the KKK are probably turning over in their graves at how you are diminishing what happened to them at the hands of very, very evil people. And it's wrong. And I want to address one more thing while I have your attention on this subject. And that is this. When we talk about Black Lives Mattering, we did an exposition on it on Resistance Chicks on Friday. You can check that out on our channel Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks on Facebook, Facebook and YouTube. But even if we shove aside the incantations that they use, the witchcraft behind the movement, someone had made a post the other day and it was a black person on my friends list, and shared a post of a white pastor who equivalated saying that all lives matter is like saying when Jesus was talking about the parable of leaving the 99 to go after the one, that all 100 lives matter and it takes away from the one that's lost. Well, I'm not going to victimize black people and say they're lost. B, there are millions of injustices happening in this world. And the Black Lives Matter movement is strictly against police brutality. Because when you bring up, I don't know, the millions and millions of black aborted babies because Planned Parenthood is a racist organization and specifically put their abortion clinics in inner cities to kill black people because Margaret Sanger was a racist, and they still hold that flag and that banner because they don't want black people to reproduce. When we bring that up, oh, no, you can't talk about that. We're just talking about the 10 unjustified police shootings. Okay, so that means that I can't talk about the black on black crime that kills hundreds of thousands of black people and has over the years. I can't talk about that. And when you're talking about Black Lives Mattering, no, you can't. So what you're saying is, I have to say Black Lives Matter, but they only matter if they've been shot by a cop. I refuse. I refuse to say Black Lives Matter because I think that all Black lives matter. And I think that all lives that have had injustices done to them matter. And I do not have to raise a banner for every injustice that is done. I can get on my knees before God and pray that all injustices stop. And I can speak out against injustices. Racism exists. Racism against black people totally exists. Racial profiling against black people and Muslims and Hispanics exist. But by and large, most people in our society are against it. So it's not systemic. So when we're talking about this parable and comparing, what you're trying to do is take focus off of the one that's lost. No, there's millions lost. And we're going to put focus on them all. And we can address your issue and we can address that issue, but I don't have to stand up and say Black Lives Matter and support a Marxist satanic witchcraft organization to speak out against the 10 unjustified shootings that happened in our country. So it's not the same. And I don't count the black race as the lost one sheep. And I feel like we're being told and we're being taught as a society that if you don't take up the Black Lives Matter cause, then you are racist. So what if I take up the black unborn babies' lives matter cause? No, they don't want me to. You know why? Most black people would actually be good with, they would say, you know what, I can appreciate that. Do you know why the system, the real systemic racism, which actually I do have to take back, does exist? It exists in the Democrat Party. That systemic racism won't let me say black unborn lives matter, because to them, they don't. They won't let me say that the lives that have been victimized by black on black crime matter, because to them, to the rich white guys in the Democrat Party, they don't matter. And that's why we're not allowed to say it. That's why we're not allowed to point out. You're talking about going after the one, right? But what if there are thousands? What if there are millions? What if we can go after all of those? I would say the 100 sheep are lost. And Black Lives Mattering from unjustified police shootings is one. It is. But there's 100 sheep out there. And we can split off, and I can go after the millions of aborted black lives, and you can go after the 10 unjustified police shootings, and another person can go after racial profiling, and another person can go after sex trafficking. But we all don't need to chase down the one sheep. We need to split up. We have to go after all of the injustices that are happening right now. And the reason why they don't want us to go after all of those injustices, the reason why they try to keep everybody so focused on the 10 unjustified police shootings, because they're the ones that are persecuting those. They are the ones that are enslaving all the other 99 as well. And if they can keep all of society focused on that one sheep, they're happy that they have the rest. So I'm going to end with this. The next time somebody falsely accuses you of being a racist, sit down and say, I'd love to have this conversation with you. And get out a pen and paper and say, we can continue a conversation as long as we both agree on what the definition of racism is. All right? So I'm going to sign off here. We're going to be doing our European and UK news show roughly at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here shortly. I'm at a pet visit. I'm going to head home. We're going to get the show set up. It's going to be a great show today. We've got a lot to talk about. One of the biggest things that we're going to cover in our world news is Tucker Carlson this week having the Chinese virologist on his show. Pretty much broke the world, broke the whole false narrative. And I'm really excited about that. So you won't want to miss today's show. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Please like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels, Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3. Ring that bell for notifications. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. You can check out our website, www.resistancechicks.com. Our podcast is there. You can download it. I love you guys. Sorry I wasn't able to read the comments as I was going, but I had a stream of consciousness I needed to get out. And I do feel much better for having done so. All right. I love you guys. God loves you. God bless.